New Mexico authorities say that this man, Damian Herrera, shot and killed 5 people, his mother, brother, and stepfather, and 2 other men on June 15, 2017, during a 200-mile rampage that took place over the course of approximately 5 hours at multiple crime scenes. In July through August of 2021, during a 2-week trial, Herrera and the New Mexico Public Defender's Office challenged the allegations made by prosecutors that he had murdered 4 of the victims in the county of Rio Arriba. He will face a separate set of charges at a later date for the killing of one of the victims, which took place in Taos County. The following narrative is based on the prosecution's version of events that led up to and what happened immediately after the vicious slaughter of 5 people in northern New Mexico. On the fateful day of June 15, 2017, Carissa Herrera had recently turned 16 years old. She lived in the rural town of La Madera with her family, her mother, 49-year-old Maria Rosita Gallegos, known by friends and family as Brenda, her father, 55-year-old Max Trujillo Sr., and her brother, Brendan Herrera, who was 20 years of age at the time, and her stepbrother, Damian Herrera, who was 21. On that day, she saw her brother, Damian, and her father talking outside the home. The two were having an argument apparently over the use of a pickup truck and spilled gasoline. Carissa heard 4 loud gun blasts from outside. The girl and her other brother, Brendan, and her mother, Brenda, quickly realized that Damian had just shot his stepfather. Brendan ran out of the house and tried to subdue Damian as their mother, Brenda, went to the aid of her partner. As Damian and Brendan struggled for the gun, the weapon discharged again, and the younger was struck in the neck by a single bullet. Brendan fell to the ground, mortally wounded. Brenda then went to Brendan and picked him up as he bled, and she was asking Damian what was wrong with him and why he was doing this. She begged Damian not to shoot her. As he stood there with the gun, she was covered in her husband and her son's blood. With a single bullet loaded into the revolver he just used to shoot his brother and stepfather, he fired once into his mother's head. Family members would later tell police that Damian was calm and had a blank stare as he opened fire, as if he knew exactly what he was doing. Carissa ran to a neighbor's house and called 911. This is audio that was recorded during the call that came in at approximately 3:30 p.m.
911, what's your emergency? Ma'am, I really need you to take a deep breath and tell me. I can't understand you. What's going on? Ma'am, this is 911. What's going on? You're in La Madera? What's going on in La Madera? Who got shot? I need you to tell me where you're at.
Max Trujillo Sr. and Brendan Herrera died at the scene. Brenda would perish from her injuries the following day. Meanwhile, Damian then drove away from the scene. He drove for about 35 miles until he ran out of gas in the town of Tres Piedras in Taos County. Subsequently, he hitched a ride from a 61-year-old man named Michael Allen Kite. Soon after, he shot and killed Mr. Kite and took the deceased man's pickup truck. This audio was recorded during a 911 call placed at about 5:45 p.m. by a woman reporting the shooting of her husband, Mr. Kite.
I can't lose you.
Okay, how long ago? No, what? Tell us where's the emergency.
My husband is, I don't know if he's dead or not.
Do you think he was shot, ma'am?
I don't know. There's a hole in his shirt and a hole in his chest. But I turned him over. He was face down. Please, hurry. He can't be dead.
Okay, ma'am. Can you feel his chest to see if he's breathing? Does he look like he's
not breathing? He's not breathing.
After shooting Mr. Kite, Damian proceeded to drive the stolen Chevy Silverado north on the 84 freeway towards Antonito, Colorado, just a few miles across the state border. From there, he traveled west into the Cumber Pass, then south into Chama. From Chama, Herrera continued south through Tierra Amarilla to Abiquiú. In Abiquiú, he stopped at Bodie's General Store and gas station where he encountered 59-year-old Manuel Serrano, who was there to fuel up his vehicle on his way to work. Herrera pulled his pilfered pickup truck close to Serrano's vehicle and fired several shots at the man through the window as Serrano sat in the driver's seat. Serrano was struck 3 times in the back. Herrera then left the man there bleeding to death, pulled away, and headed south on the 84 freeway. Serrano died at the scene. On Highway 84, Rio Arriba Sheriff's deputies initiated a pursuit of the stolen black Silverado, unaware that it was being driven by the murder suspect. Meanwhile, a New Mexico State Police unit was driving the opposite direction, northbound on US 84, responding to the shooting of Mr. Serrano in Abiquiú, and happened to cross paths with Mr. Herrera. Damian lost control of his vehicle and almost drove head-on into the state police vehicle and ended up crashing into a tree at the roadside. Pursuing deputies ordered Herrera to surrender. When he exited the vehicle, he rushed the deputies, and a struggle ensued in which Herrera attempted to take one of the officers' firearm. The firearm went off during the melee, but no one was hit. Herrera was zapped with a taser and eventually subdued and taken into custody.
Stop it there! Stop right there! Hands up!
Herrera got into a scuffle with deputies who finally caught up with him. He even tried reaching for one of their guns.
Hands up! Hurry up! The main suspect of all the shootings? That's the deal.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Do you understand?
Before even setting foot in jail, Herrera made his feelings towards law enforcement clear, unleashing a tirade on them.
It's not happening.
Rights, bro. This is America.
All right. It's not gonna happen.
Remember everything that happened. She was, begging him to not do it, and he shot her in the head.
He was struggling, with some mental problems.
It's hard, but I'm not going to hate him.
I forgive him for what he has done.
Mr. Herrera had apparently made statements to family members in the past about his desire to kill people or to bring people pain for fun. His family helped to have him moved from the county jail to a mental hospital where he was evaluated prior to his eventual trial. Damian was a science major at the University of New Mexico at Taos and a graduate of Mesa Vista High School, where he was a junior varsity basketball player. A classmate of his at UNM described him as the sort that would go into the mountains and meditate, and as someone who was into inner peace. A Santa Fe newspaper spoke with an ex-girlfriend of Herrera's. They had broken up about a year prior. She said through tears that she'd been in love with the young man, that she remembered him as being sweet and gentle, and that she couldn't believe that he had it in him to do what he'd allegedly done. She said he loved his brother Brendan and always spoke very highly of him. This is video of Herrera's arraignment on the day following the killings.
That you did kill Massacre Sr., a human being without lawful justification and excuse by any of the means with which death may be caused. You understand that is a first-degree capital felony. The penalty on that is you can face up to life in prison. You understand?
I understand.
In this phone call from Damian at the county jail to relatives, he complains about the conditions in which he's living and expresses his desire to be removed to a hospital. Damian's heartbroken family members tell him that they love him, that they are doing everything they can to provide support for him, and that they would pray for him.
What's wrong with?
I don't feel good at all. I feel really sick, and I need to go to that hospital instead of being here. I've been fighting with the guards and stuff, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to leave this place. I need to go to that hospital because there's just too much bad things here.
Just grab a hold of God's hands and
hospital. At this point, you just need to be as patient as you can, because the last thing you want to do is mess up and then it's going to take that much longer. Just remember that you do have us behind you, and we love you, Damian. You know, our hearts are just torn apart. Okay. So there's your Uncle Val. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, just hang in there. Be strong, you know, so the girls want to tell you hi.
Jamie and Jasmine and Geneva want to tell you hi real quick, okay?
Hi.
Hi, girls. You guys are doing okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Be strong.
Okay, mijito. Well, you just be strong, and remember, Damian, we love you. We love you, and I have a candle lit for you, and I pray for you every night. And God is going to take care of this, but you just have to have patience and faith, okay?
There's a lot of people behind you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Love you guys.
Love you.
Damian would make at least 2 attempts to escape from Rio Arriba County Jail in the months following his capture. On the first occasion, he got out of his cell and made his way toward the jail kitchen and almost made it there before he was caught. The second incident, which was captured on video, occurred on July 15th, 1 month after he was captured. He told the guard that his toilet wasn't working. When the guard went into the cell to investigate, Damian shut the door, locking the guard in. Then Damian got his hands on a large metal flashlight and hid and wait for another guard who had come to answer the calls for help from the guard who was locked in the cell.
By now, the guard in Herrera's cell has called for help, so when this other guard walks by, he makes his move. The guard uses a chair to defend himself as Herrera swings again and again.
This EMT in the blue shirt approaches and for some reason decides to give Damian a hug. Damian takes him in a headlock. 3 officers eventually subdue Mr. Herrera.
Before he's finally subdued and put in a restraining chair. Again, there's no audio, but Herrera appears to be wailing alone in the hallway for several minutes afterwards.
Damian Herrera received mental health treatment and evaluation during his pretrial incarceration. In January 2020, prosecutors announced that Herrera was found competent to stand trial by state mental health examiners. The proceedings were delayed, however, because of the COVID pandemic. Damian Herrera's trial began in the Santa Fe County courtroom on Wednesday, July 28, 2021, 49 months after the June 2017 rampage. The preceding narrative of the killings of his family and of Manuel Serrano was presented to a jury, and the public defender's office refuted those allegations on Mr. Herrera's behalf. A powerful witness against Herrera was his half-sister Carissa, who testified that she watched him shoot Brendan and Brenda in cold blood. Meanwhile, the defense questioned the recollections of the witnesses who testified against Damian and contended that the prosecution had not met the burden of proof. Toward the end of the proceedings, Herrera unexpectedly gave his testimony after the defense had indicated at the outset of the trial that he probably would not speak to the jury. Herrera told a very different story from the one the prosecutors portrayed. He claimed that the bloodletting began when his mother, Gallegos, shot her husband 4 times in the back in front of the family's home. He said that Brendan Herrera then fatally shot his mother, after which he struggled with his brother over the pistol. The scuffle turned deadly when their sister, Carissa, attempted to intervene, at which time the pistol discharged, fatally injuring Brendan. Damian had told a similar story to the officers that originally arrested him after the chase on Highway 84.
Can't be the person, right? So what happened? Got into it over gasoline. Okay. And my stepdad tried chasing down me.
Then he starts chasing you with the gun?
Huh?
He starts chasing you?
He didn't chase me, he fired at me. My brother went to go and break us up and shot my brother. I wrestled with him for the gun. My mom got in the middle of it, shot her, and I had to shoot him, dude.
He also gave deputies somewhat bizarre explanations for why he shot Michael Kite.
I don't know what his deal was. He was trying to push me out of his truck as soon as we got to his house.
Okay.
And I was just defending myself, dude. It's just, I don't know what it is. Well, I'm never into violence, dude. Ask anybody that knows me.
Anything else you think I should know? I told you the truth.
And an equally strange story about the killing of Manuel Serrano.
I was cleaning the windows and he I don't even know what started telling me in Spanish, dude. And I was just like, yo, calm down, and started rushing me, and that's all that happened.
How many rounds were fired there?
On Friday, August 13th, 2021, Damian Herrera was found guilty on a total of 11 felony counts, including 4 counts of murder, aggravated fleeing from law officers, attempting to disarm a law officer, assaulting a law officer, possession of a stolen vehicle, and other crimes. Herrera has yet to be sentenced for the first 4 of the 5 2017 killings, for each of which he faces a potential life sentence. He will be tried separately for the first-degree murder in Taos County of Michael Allen Kite. A court date for that trial has not yet been set. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end. What you're seeing right now is a preview of my next video, which should be out in the next few days. It's a pretty incredible story about a young Chicago rapper who was killed last year, so be on the lookout for that. Once again, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already, please give us a like. Thanks much for watching.
Chicago rapper King Von is among 3 people dead in a shooting outside a nightclub in Atlanta. The police are saying it happened early this morning when 2 groups started arguing. King Von, whose real name is Davon Bennett, was killed.
Just after 3 this morning, 2 groups got into a fight outside Club Monaco. 2 off-duty Atlanta police officers were nearby. The arguing intensified, ended in gunfire with 2 dead, 1 in critical condition, and 2 people in stable condition. Atlanta police say the officers opened fire but were unharmed. They could not say who shot who.